Hello and welcome to week 6. It is a content podcast and I have with me a familiar group of guests. We'll start, slightly shaken up, you'll see why, with JoshXLS. Hello Josh, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm another year older and maybe another 10 years older after this weekend of playing. But, you know, it's been good week of content. Total Rush Team 2. Have we got to the second week kind of malaise that we get to in promo? So the second week just kind of loses a bit of momentum. Yeah, I think we got there yesterday.
Yeah, that does always happen. And we have with us Nate, the FUT Accountant. Nate, good to have you back on.
It's great to be back on, Ben. I would agree with Josh. The malaise of the second week has set in, but yeah, it just means that something new is coming on Friday. So we'll have to see what that may be.
Indeed. And we can introduce finally here 𝗏𝗡s, who I'm introducing last because it is his final content podcast for what will probably be a little while. Because 𝗏𝗡s, you're starting a new job very soon and are going to be a very busy man.
Yeah, that's true. So little bittersweet today because obviously I love doing the pod and I love talking about all this stuff, but you know, excited for the path ahead and got to throw myself full force into that. So, you know, it's one of those exciting things and I'll still be, you know, winning pound for pound powerhouse. I'll just have to be submitting as a listener now.
Yeah, and it certainly isn't a complete goodbye, even as a guest. And also there's the gameplay podcast this week, of course, which you'll be on the supporter episode.
Indeed.
But now though, let's get into the content podcast and pound for pound winner for last week. And we'll start then with Nate picking that winner. We had the 𝘃𝗲𝗄𝘅 Total Rush, Rodri's Gold, the Carmona Gold, and Team of the Week Stanway. So who of those four are you going to go for? Quite a left field selection, actually, isn't it?
A little bit. I'm just going to have to go with somebody who was really good for me last year, and I haven't used yet in this year's game, but I'd imagine she'd be really good. I'm going to go with the informed Stanway.
Like I was saying about winning pound for pound powerhouse, thank you much, Nate. We continue on.
I was going to say very nice for you to win it on this particular appearance, but of course, as you said, you can continue to win it if you'd like to, so we'll see. Let's move on to this week's Pound for Pound nominations then. And as we always do, the least regular guest gets to nominate. So that is back to you, Nate, for your Pound for Pound nomination for this week.
I'm going to have to go with the most recently released card in this game, who I used for 12 games in FUT Champs. Yesterday, the new Lorenzo right back card. I was a little thrown off by some of his playstyles. Like, I mean, he does have the jockey and he has intercept, which are really nice. But I was maybe like, if he had, you know, block or anticipate, would that probably make his SBC more expensive? But I don't know. I was like, for the price, he's a must try. But then I used him and I was like, okay, he's actually really good. Now, to be fair, he didn't have to outperform a really standout player. I'm switching from 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘐𝑚 to him, but I was surprised with how good he was in the air, even without aerial. 6 foot tall. He has 92 jumping, and he just did everything very well. That's what I was impressed the most about him, and he links into my team easily, and probably a lot of everybody's teams easily because of the Serie A links.
Yeah. I also think, you know, intercept is very underrated on fullbacks. I find it very, very useful. So good first nomination, and yeah, 60k SBC for what the best Serie A right back apart from Maicon is pretty good. Let us move on to then, Josh, your nomination for pound this week.
So mine is going to be probably one of the most expensive players I've ever suggested for a pound for pound, and it's only 100k. So I'm not like breaking the bank here. It's not like a 300,000 coin SBC or a 2 million coin SBC that we've had in the past. It's going to be Total Rush Raphaël Guerreiro. And I was talking pre-pod about changing my roles in the midfield and saying that I needed somebody with a bit more pace in the midfield, but I really liked the tiki-taka that I got from Rodri's base card. And when I saw this Guerreiro and saw that they'd given him centre mid with tiki-taka plus, it tickled my fancy. I've got a lot of buy-in players, so it was easy to get him in on chem using that Stanway because she's Kante essentially. And this Guerreiro is delightful for 100,000 coins. I mean, playstyle's absolutely perfect for what you want in that midfield. And then his dribbling, he's unbelievably quick on the ball, quick to turn. Can play him as a half winger as well, which, considering he has 88 crossing and has whipped as a base play style, pretty solid there as well. 86 stamina's good enough. Like, I would say physically, obviously, is where he falls down, but defensively, he's an absolute menace. He picks up balls like at a rate that very few other defensive midfielders pick them up at. And I don't know if it's the fact that he can get there quickly. His explosive means he like dives in front of players to intercept passes really well. But yeah, I cannot recommend that card enough. For 100,000 coins, it's unreal.
94 interceptions and intercept base is really quite good for any player.
Crazy card.
That's really high. Yeah, a good nomination. 2 good nominations. So, James, how are you going to be following that?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick, I'm going to mispronounce her first name, but Tabea Selner, the Squad Foundation's 85 overall SPC for a whopping 13K. And you get a card that has base Quickstep, base Trickster, base Anticipate, base Jockey, base Incisive, and Power Shot Plus. She has 91 base reactions as well. She fits into the new Evos very easily. I apparently was one of the people that jumped the gun and just did the first Evo on her right away, so now I can't add the second one. But the second one, she already has Quickstep, and I don't know if she needs ping, so maybe I wouldn't have done that anyway. But that's going to give her Press and Relentless to go with it. She can play right mid very, very well, especially because she coming back, she has Jockey, Anticipate, and Quickstep to do that. She's got wide midfielder plus, inside forward plus at right mid, and then she also has striker at false 9. She is so good in game. Really, really quick, causes all sorts of problems. Movement is great, and she is 13K.
Yeah.
Phenomenal card. Phenomenal card. Was an autocomplete for me. And I've scored some nasty goals with you can do the Trickster flicks to her Power Shot Plus. Just saying.
Interestingly, it has Jockey and Anticipate. I don't know if that's noticeable. She doesn't have very good defensive stats.
Well, it makes her one of the new rush bays is what happens. She's amazing in rush with Quickstep, Jockey, Anticipate as well. But you definitely notice the Jockey defensively. And if you're someone that likes to gegenpress, I use an aggressive line, she's amazing at it because she can shift with everybody likes to do the thing with their fullbacks where they I'm going to go one way, but really we all know you're going to go outside and try to play it up the line. And I do the thing with her where I'm oh my gosh, I fell for it. Just kidding, I didn't, because I can shuffle across so quickly with that. And I scored a bunch of goals because I was able to just take it away from her and then just play a through ball to 𝘱𝑒𝑠𝑐𝑜 and hit a power shot. I just can't believe we're getting cards like this right now.
Yeah. And speaking of cheap, women's attackers, we have a listener nomination for Team of the Week, Aymar. She is a Liga F Spanish winger, and she can play left wing, right mid, and striker. This nomination comes in from Hicks. He says she's 4-4 with base play styles, finesse shot, first touch, quick step, relentless, and technical, and base stats of 95 in both agility and balance, 90 plus pace, along with 85 strength, 85 composure, and 94 stamina. She is one hell of a force to be reckoned with. I'm playing her as an inside forward at left wing in a 4-2-1-3 with a Deadeye, and she has been electric. And I also wanted to tack on the end here an additional pound for pound nomination for Team of the Week, because it's nice to get some Team of the Week nominations. Beans nominating the Lindsay Horan, saying her passing is genuinely incredible. The incisive pass playstyle feels like it forces players ahead of her to actually make better runs. Have used her at centre cam in a 4-2-3-1, and she just threads through balls between opposition centre backs into the striker so easily. Her shooting and long shots in particular are also excellent. Was the unexpected star of my team during champs this weekend. The only real issue is she is difficult to link. And then we move on to another listener nomination, which feeds us nicely into talking about the evolutions and, squad foundations topic that Japes already alluded to. And that is Maka going for 𝘵𝘚𝑐𝗀𝘰. Japes, you've nominated 𝘵𝘚𝑐𝗀𝘰 for pound for pound. And Maka says that and then says, either way, it's more relevant than ever with the new Evos. Just pick which playstyles you prefer from those Evos. Both give her 4-star skills, which is the big bonus. It means you now have a 4/4 player with Quick Step Plus, Target Forward Plus, and really nice stats. 90 pace, all base shooting stats above 83, all base dribbling stats above 83, so chemistry styles can do wonders. Quick Step Plus, technical and press proven is such a beefy combo, probably my favourite player I've used in Rush so far, ahead of even Hansen. So lots of great pound for pound nominations, and both from listeners and from our guests here. If you did submit one but it didn't make the cut, then they're still appreciated, and keep sending them in. And this leads us nicely on to talking about the Foundation's Evos. There has been new Foundation, well, actually on FUT.GG, there new Foundation 1 and new Foundation 2. In game, they're just called exactly the same thing, which is a little confusing, but they can be combined together in quite a few situations, which is very nice. And they are strong evolutions on already fairly strong-ish players who have a bit of a chemistry bonus. For those who don't know, these players give an extra point of chemistry to the players' league, which is quite handy. But it shouldn't go unmentioned that, Josh, these are the only Evos we've had this weekend. And I guess listeners may not be aware why this is the case.
Yeah, it's something that I think we kind of all noticed on Friday night, because Friday is, it's new promo night, but it's also new Evo night, and we didn't get one. And then the other thing that kind of gave it away, I think, was that we've had a new Rush event for the shooting event, and in all of the other Rush events, we've had a corresponding evolution. I would expect that this one would have been to boost shooting, and we didn't get that with it, and we still haven't got it. And there was an issue that was raised maybe about 3 weeks ago around Evo paths not working correctly, people completing an Evo and not getting the upgrade or getting a different upgrade to what they were shown. That was fixed in a kind of soft patch. And then about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, especially when we got the Cannon evolution, people started really noticing that their Evos just wouldn't fit into, like, both the Cannon and 𝘆𝑟ocha, I think, are the two evolutions that have been broken. And even though the card fit all the stats, it fit all of the requirements, if it was a previously evolved card, sometimes it just wouldn't be able to go into the evolution. It seems like there's an issue with stat limits. A few of the leaker accounts have said that they have heard that Evos are kind of indefinitely on hold, like traditional Evos. Because of this issue with the stat limits, they don't really know what's going on yet. And so we've got these two Foundation evolutions, which I'm sure were going to come anyway, but they are kind of replacing the Evos we would usually be getting, because up until now, you've not been able to evolve any of the Squad Foundation's cards, and so there wouldn't be a problem with chaining these evolutions. So yeah, it's one of those where we're going to have to just wait and see how long this takes. I hope it gets fixed soon, but there is an issue, a really big issue with evolutions, kind of across the board at the moment. Obviously we had the ordering issue at the beginning, and then we've now got an issue with stat limits. So the new system has got a lot of creases that need ironing out, shall we say.
Yeah, it is a shame, obviously, not to have the Evos that we should have had. On the plus side, I guess these Foundation Evos do seem pretty strong. Obviously, we've had a few players mentioned so far, but I wondered, Nate, whether you rated these Evos, what you were planning to do with them, because I guess a lot of people will be thinking about that at the moment.
So I thought about doing a double Evo situation for 𝘬, since I was doing the Alex Morgan SBC and getting those NWSL links. But after looking at the Müller German left back card in the NWSL, I definitely have to put her into the first new Foundation, because her playstyles and then the stat boost there look really, really good. And then I'll probably go 𝘬 in the second one. But I think these Evos are cool, but I think most people don't like them because they're just not like the normal Evos that we're expecting, that have a ton of customizability. And I mean, basically you have a ton of options to choose from in regular Evos, right? From your favorite team and whatever. And here you're pretty restricted to who has a Squad Foundation card, which is in a top 5 league. So I think that's also part of the frustration with it. But I think I said this when these came out. If there's somebody that you're a fan of that fits into these Evos, then it is really cool, because the stat boosts are nice. Yeah, overall, it's still puzzling and kind of They haven't said it yet, which would be nice to have EA come out and say, hey, there's an issue with Evos. We're working on it. In the meantime, whatever. Like, it at least acknowledge the situation would be kind of nice, but something's up for sure.
It's especially tough for people who've like done a good chunk of a chain of Evos and then found that their player doesn't fit into the final one, right?
Yeah.
They could have even potentially paid for some part of that chain, and then they don't know whether it's going to be fixed before the Evo that they wanted to do expires.
Right.
And I guess with the stat limit element this cycle, there's more potential for that player to be evolvable in the future, but obviously that's not really a huge compensation for the mess up currently. So yeah, it is frustrating, and they really do need to say something about it. There's a lot of reports of this on the EA forums, so they're clearly going to be aware. They're, I presume, working on it, but there's been no comment as such yet anyway. It's interesting, Japes, these two Evos, they're actually quite good from a sort of playstyle perspective. I think a lot of the base players have quite good playstyles, and then the two playstyles that each Evo give, which are different, are quite good. So the second one gave pinged pass and quick step, and the first one gave press proven and relentless. So that was quite nice.
For the ones that do fit together, you get press, relentless, quick step, and pinged. Like, if a card just had those, that's beefy. Like that's serious. Like, when I saw press and relentless, I was like, yes, please. Like, relentless has been, not having to substitute a player feels pretty nice this year, especially if it's a relentless with a player that has positional optionality based on the way the new IQ system works. Like, if you can have them in multiple positions and they've got relentless, like, that's super nice to have. And then quick step and pinged is like just a crazy combo for a lot of different positions. I talked about that Selner card. Like, what I like pinged on her, yeah, quick step's like a bit of an overlap there, but I'm thinking that I might do 𝗬𝘰𝗬𝘀𝘬 for that one to make her 4-star, and her base ones are long ball, intercept, slide tackle, first touch, and relentless. So then you give her quick step and pinged, and all of a sudden, as like a box-to-box CM with 91 base intercept, like that's a card. I don't know. Like, they're just making these for anybody that runs an off-ish league hybrid or combo. These are like really solid. They matter.
Yeah, especially with that extra chemistry boost as well. It's pretty nice. And it's funny, I look at a lot of these players, and I mean, there are a few less good players, but overall, I think there's a pretty decent level of playability here.
I think it was kind of covered by Nate, but I think whenever you get an Evo that isn't open, it's going to rile a few people up because that's how they use Evos. But I think the options they are giving us with this select group of cards is very, very, very good. I mean, we mentioned Selner already, but you can put her into just one of these two evolutions, and she's unbelievable. I mean, you compare her stats to some of the best players in the game, considering she has Power Shot Plus. I mean, ridiculous. A previous Pound Founder nominator was Gonçalo Inácio, his Road to the Knockout card, and I said that the Portuguese league has some really good options, and 𝘬𝘠𝘂𝑬𝘐 was one of them. I mean, his card looks genuinely insane through both of these. 87 pace, 85 defending, 84 physical, 4-star with like good passing and dribbling as well. I would say the other side to this evolution is you look at players like 𝘵𝑚𝑒𝑤𝑖S, who's already very good, who I already nominated for a pound for pound, Salmon, who's been nominated before, and we're making those cards better. I really like squad foundations as a concept. The problem has always been that, especially in this first season, the quality of the cards they give just aren't good enough by the time you get 2-3 weeks in. I like this as a concept. If they can keep giving us this kind of evolution to keep those cards up to date with whatever's going on in the game at that moment, giving Watt 4-star is a massive upgrade. Giving Fran Navarro 4-star is a massive upgrade to cards that people enjoyed using but have probably fallen out of their teams now. Yes, we can talk about chemistry, but the fact they give a chem boost, and we've had an icon SBC already, we've had enough champs that if people play champs, they've probably got a hero or maybe an icon from those champs. Like, you can get these cards on at least 2 chemistry, And guess what? Even if they're a bench player, they're so well-rounded, a lot of these cards, that they'd be great to have on the bench to fill in gaps where maybe you don't have a good secondary option. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of these kinds of Evos. I think the frustration has just been that they're not alongside other Evos, which are, I think is natural. But yeah, in and of themselves, I really, really like this. I do think we are seeing slightly the issue with stat limit evolutions, which is that a lot of these cards look very, very similar, and you're going to need to interrogate the cards in a lot more detail to find out what it is specifically you want that card to do, looking at play styles, looking at their positional affiliations, their roles, where they've got the plus, how you want to use them is going to be important for deciding who you want to put these in. I would also say they're still available for like 11 days. So we probably will get another squad foundations in that time. So if you've not done them yet, might be worth holding off.
I'm not sure that I you mentioned that some of them are looking similar. I can't decide if I mind or not.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one.
Also in terms of in-game stats, and then you got the body type, you got the height, and there's actually quite a lot going on. You got roles as well. I don't know whether they are as similar as, I know face stat wise they look relatively similar, but in game, I'm not so sure.
I'm like playing this out in my head, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, so you're kind of leveling the playing field for people with a lot of the card stats, and then you're letting people choose tactically, like play style wise, what it is that makes the way they want to play more special. Like, do I mind that? I don't know if I do. I'm kind of like, so I can use the players that I like best for either the tactic that I want or based on the players that I like real life the best, and not feel like I'm at a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, we talked extensively last week about why we're picking players for evolutions now, and how that's definitely changed versus last cycle. That's obviously assuming EA do fix the current situation with the regular evolutions and kind of keep these more broad max stats limit capped players that you can create, which hopefully they will do. Right, let's take a break there, and we'll be back to talk to Nate about what's happening with the market at the moment, which is definitely worth discussing right after this. Hello, welcome back after the break. Right, Nate, I mean, it's been an interesting week. I think we've finally seen a significant drop-off in terms of the price of gold players. Is that right? And I guess that's kind of just going down from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of those, even cards that you might think are still like semi-usable, like 𝗬𝘢𝘐 𝗏𝐿𝑖𝑛gham was 200 and after Rivals Rewards last week, 220K, and now he's 180, up maybe a smidge from his lowest point in the weekend, but this is just, again, more promo cards, more evolutions, more SBCs get released, and eventually some of those cards that we were all chasing for the first couple weeks of the game become a lot less hyping because they get passed by other cards within the power curve that get released. So yeah, that's definitely happening for the gold cards across most of the levels, except for the top tier. But then, of course, as people are switching to icons and heroes and promo cards, those cards are going really crazy in price. Like if you look at some of the prices of icons, especially this year with all the coins that like FUT Champs rewards and even Rivals rewards are giving out, it's definitely making that part of the market is really going up a lot because of that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because if you look at, I happened to be looking at 𝗵𝘱 the other day, and I know French players have had a bit more interest, but 𝗵𝘱 increased, 200 odd K in the last week or two? And for a player who's currently Impact to increase that much, that kind of surprised me. I don't think we've seen that in the past at this time of the year necessarily.
Yeah, there's definitely the amount that some of those cards have increased this year is really crazy. And again, I think I attribute that mostly to the FUT Champs rewards and giving out a lot more coins this early stage of the game. You know, we've had a couple of promos, not a crazy amount, but when people want to upgrade their 𝘱𝘰𝘰 and they pack a sick card from Weekend League rewards, or they've been building up their coins for a couple of weeks, and you can, after a couple of weeks of getting rank 2 to 3, I mean, you're going to get a pretty decent amount of coins stacked up. So spending 300-400K on an icon isn't out of the question. And that's why a guy like 𝗵𝘱's gone from 400 to 650K in the last 2 or 3 weeks, is because of that for sure.
I would also say as well, like, I don't know how many people are packing players that are seriously improving their squad. I feel like we've hit a bit of a wall kind of content-wise in terms of most people will have finished objectives and finished the things that people do to grind lots of packs. And, you know, whilst you do have like champs rewards and rivals rewards, and they're good, I don't feel like I'm packing a lot of players that are seriously like pushing my first team. And so I think people are beginning to use their coins a little bit more than they have done previously. I think in the past it's been like protect your coins, don't buy cards. And I think now, especially as well with chemistry, you know, we don't have any of the like chem boosting card types yet, really. And having an icon or two in your team is a massive, massive help to try and get everybody on full chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Just to add on to that, I think there's like the other factor is like I went out and I bought 𝘬𝘯𝘰𝗍𝘀𝘀 for like 650K or something like that. I don't know what he's at now. I don't really care because he's super good and very, very fun to play with. But I wanted specifically winger ++ that was easy to fit into my team on chem. And the player pool or like the card pool for that is very limited. Like it's just very limited. And because of that, like I'm not the only one here that wants those cards. Like to be able to get that type of card in with a specific role in mind for the player. And those are all like the cards that have the stats you want, that have the ++ and so on that you want. That's a limited pool. And so the demand for that is very high. And the supply, because they're high rated cards, is like pretty low. So it's, to me, it's like not particularly surprising we're seeing some of these cards fly.
Yeah, I guess that is reflected, Nate, in the fact that the cards that are flying are the less common players. I mean, golds are dropping and the rarer players are rising. I guess the question would be, what will happen in, 1 or 2 weeks' time? And is there a danger that the sort of, I guess, first usable tier of icons or first meta tier of icons, players like 𝗵𝗊, start to drop off in the next 2 weeks, I suppose, as people move away from those players again, a bit like we've seen with golds? Do you think that's likely? And I guess we might get icons in the next promo, for example.
Yeah, I think with icons specifically, it would come down to more of that. Like when there's a new version of an icon released, everybody wants to run to that version, even though it may be more expensive. But if there's more new versions that are out, people will chase those. I think also with like, if you look at the promo teams, a lot of the promo teams have been a lot of fodder cards and cheaper cards, and then a whole bunch of expensive cards too. Like there's not very many promo players that are like 100 to 300 or 400K. There's a few, but like you look at the promo teams and you have a lot of 500K plus cards where, it's going to take, I think, a promo that EA or maybe by design are like, hey, we want a lot of people to use these cards. Mm. So they're turning the pack weight up a little bit, making them more accessible. And that might be what it takes to drop some of the prices of those icons, because people would be running to use the brand new cards that are probably pushing the power curve a little bit more, and they're affordable-ish on the market compared to other promos that have been out so far.
I definitely think that the price will be dictated by when we get our first icon promo, which I think is probably coming soon, if not this Friday. And the difference is that those icons then are packable in every pack rather than just in specific pack types, which base icons are only available in specific pack types.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned this, and we're probably aware of it, but a lot of people might not be, because it isn't, of course, that common to pack an icon anyway. Do you want to expand on this thing about icons in packs?
Yeah, so traditionally in the game, we had gold packs, silver packs, and bronze packs, and that was it. And then you could have premium, and that would give you some extra rares. And then we got legends, and so legends were able to be packed in those cards. But then we started getting the big pack types, so like 100K packs or 20 times 83 plus packs. And if you notice, the description on those is rare golds. Now, it's not just rare golds, it's rare golds and special cards, essentially, but it's a very specific promo-only special card. And unless an icon is in a promo team, it can't be packed in those rating plus packs. And so I saw a lot of people getting annoyed because, in champs, for example, or in rivals, you'll get 25 times 75 plus rare gold player pack, which does sound a lot better than jumbo rare gold players pack, which is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if we're being honest, that is just what it is. It's 25 instead of 24, but that's what that pack is. And going, oh, well, now we can't pack icons in here. It's like, you couldn't do it last year either. So that's not changed. But yeah, you can't pack base icons in packs that aren't a traditional pack. So that would be like a gold pack, premium gold pack, a jumbo premium gold pack, a mega pack, and I think that's it. I think they are the only packs. Oh, there's sometimes you could get them in bronze and silver packs, but I think they put a stop to that a few years ago because that was a bit weird. But yeah, so like there is only a certain select amount of packs. It's specifically packs that have a rating plus on them. So the 10 times 81 plus or 80 plus or anything that says that, you can't pack a base icon in. But once they're in a promo team and it's a promo icon, you can pack them, which is why you see an awful lot of promo icons on the market in people's teams because they're in more packs, essentially. And so the chances of them being packed is higher. So I think that is going to dictate the price drop of base icons. Like, it's going to be the main thing. So I would be slightly worried about investing in an icon that's gone up now, because if they are in a promo team in the next week or 2 weeks, that price is going to come down.
That's a good point. And I guess, Nate, that maybe is a potential investment opportunity, because we'll see some base icons drop because they're going to get special items in packs. But sometimes if there's a significant boost on that special icon in terms of its gameplay ability, the price is going to be so much higher than the base icon that actually the base icon tends to recover, right, typically.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because there will be probably some leaks and then some panic selling, and then, when the new card comes out and it's 5x the price of the old one, people are like, I can't afford it. Let me get the old one again.
Yeah, that does tend to happen. In terms of kind of more broad themes on the market, I guess Fodder would be something people often ask about. It feels like Fodder actually hasn't moved as much as people expected, despite us now having both the Hero Gamble SBC and the Icon Gamble SBC. But that isn't a huge surprise, is it, Nate? Because it does take a while for that fodder to get hoovered up over time, it feels like.
Yeah, at least the higher rated fodder hasn't moved a whole lot. I think 85s, 86s, and 87s have had the best bounce this year for the Hero and the Icon. Like 85s, the first couple weeks of the game were around 3 to 3.5K, and they went to about, I think, almost 6,000 that week, the last 2 weeks. But yeah, if you're looking at 89s and above, those are still, we're waiting for the big bounce type of thing that happens every single year. Like, an icon player SBC, like last year we had Blanc and Beckham that made those go up. And then the bigger icon packs that are no max rating, kind of uncapped, that come a little bit later on in the year too. And just, as we progress through the year, EA increased the size of SBCs and the size of squads in SBCs. Like, we haven't had an 89 squad yet or a 90 rated squad, but I would assume that in the next, even a couple weeks, we got to be close to an 89 squad. So yeah, I've got some actually 91 Rodri on my transfer list. Not a ton of them, but I thought that card for 40K is it's definitely a long-term, but a decent long-term hold, because, when you had 90 rated last year selling for 50 to 60K in November, if a 91's 40K right now, that seems, like decent money.
Yeah.
And then the same thing for the 89s and 90s. I think if they're up a little right now, but like 22K for the 89s, 33 to 34 for the 90s, and then even 88s at like 15 to 16. I think if you hold for the next couple of weeks, there's some point they're going to have a nice little spike. So
I'm diamond hands on my 𝘬𝘃𝗍𝘃 stocks.
Oh yeah.
I've still got 30 of her sat on my transfer list.
Yeah, I was actually a bit late to the fodder party, so I ended up going for Rodri, seeing as somehow he's still very reasonable relative to a lot of other fodder. And I guess that is, as we've been saying, purely because they haven't really needed that high-rated fodder yet, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the impact of SBCs on the market. This always happens every cycle, and I don't know that it's happened as significantly so far as we saw with Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Nate, you noticed, I'm sure, some big market movements there, and I guess it's something to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of a general market trend that we see throughout the year at multiple different points. When there's an SBC release that a lot of people say, ooh, I want that for the price that it is, sell the card they maybe have in their team at that current position, kind of like a substitute good in terms of like economic terms.
Ooh. Talk economics to me.
So yeah, like 𝘵Lorenzo, right? Cheap right back. Well, who are people going to replace in their team by putting him in? Probably Kyle Walker and other right backs, maybe even 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦. He was down a lot yesterday. So you saw a lot of those, mostly 100K and below right backs go down in price, a pretty hefty chunk. You even saw, though, this was a little crazy to me, Icon Zambrotta as an Italian right back, of course, and then Maicon as a Serie A right back also dropped in price because of a 𝘵Lorenzo SBC. But over time, those icons and the heroes, and then other, players that are maybe a right back as well, but are in a different league or are a live card, they end up still coming back in price more so than a guy like Gold Kyle Walker, who's pushed out of a lot of people's teams now. Gold card getting pushed out anyway. So yeah, that's the substitute good is kind of the trend that you see a lot with SBCs coming out.
I definitely think it was a special case as well with 𝘵Lorenzo because of the 𝘬𝘯𝘰 SBCs that we got. Because people have already got like that Serie A element in their team, actually replacing a very expensive Maicon, for example, or a Zambrotta that you've used to try and get an Italian element to your squad for a 60k SBC that you probably just have the fodder for. As you say, it's just a logical step to make, I think. So I wouldn't be worried about all of your cards devaluing next time there's an SBC like 𝘵Lorenzo. I think this was maybe a bit of a special case because people have untradeable good cards from Serie A that they're pretty wedded to and probably don't want to move out their squad.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, we are going to talk more about the content we've had over the course of Total Rush 2 so far, and we'll do that just after this break. Hello, listeners and supporters. A quick reminder that the 36,000 𝘵𝘂 point giveaway for supporters has about a week or so left to run. So if you are a supporter, do get entered. And if you're not yet a supporter, then it's a great time to become one. You do get a bonus episode every single week on the first tier, which is just £3 a month. And on the other tiers, there is access to the Discord, which has fantastic resources, a great community, and of course, that Rush matchmaking system. So if you fancy supporting the pod and getting loads in return, then do head over to Patreon. Just search Support FUT Weekly or follow the link in the description of this podcast to sign up. Thank you very much if you do consider supporting, or if you are doing so already. It is greatly appreciated. And for now, let's jump back into this week's episode. Hello, welcome back after the break. Right, let us talk about Team 2. And also, I guess there was the mini release, and we haven't spoken about some of the SBC content we've had. One of the players we got was Rutter. I know, Japes, because you like the new skill move that is 5-star. It's an Elastico, but with L1.
Yeah, I love
you're
it.
keen to add 5-star players, but I guess Rutter probably doesn't fit your squad. But he does look all right, although, maybe some of the stats like composure, reactions, not phenomenal for his 180k price. But I guess he's an interesting option. There aren't a load of 5-star skill players in the Premier League, actually.
Yeah, interesting option. I'm definitely not doing him. Like, I have no interest in paying prem tax over the course of the cycle. I just have no interest in it. So, it definitely interesting card because, like, I really do enjoy like bigger, stronger players as well. I think he's like 6 foot, has probably like decent strength too. Don't quote me on that. I haven't even looked at the card because I don't look too super closely at Premier League cards.
He has 94 strength.
I was right.
So very decent.
I did play against him in Rush at one point, and he seemed solid. So definitely a fun consideration card for sure. I think if I was looking at 5-star skillers out of this team right now, I'd be looking at Martens van der Leer, that PSG women's Dutch player. She looks crazy. I don't know if her price is capped or what's going on, but that card looks insane, especially with all the Dutch icons that we have. Like, I don't think getting her in will be hard. And I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't received or done the D1 Arkham foundations yet.
No, not yet.
You're right, we haven't had them, and they could be evolvable. So, yeah. She's capped at 140k currently in terms of price range. It's hard to know exactly what price players end up at once the price range goes up, but I don't know. She might not be too much more than that, to be honest.
Generally, what happens is you see a dip right away, and then maybe she'll go up, but then she'll go back down for sure. But I mean, I think she's got a really nice collection of stats, and that's a card that I think looks really fun, and I'm kind of keen to try. So if I'm going 5-star, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, and then I guess any Bundesliga players from Total Rush that we haven't mentioned, japes, that you've been spotting?
Not really. I mean, we talked about Guerreiro. I think he's like the guy.
Yeah.
Sabitzer, I unfortunately I packed. Well, I guess it's not a bad pack.
Unfortunately,
I have no interest in getting him into the squad, like at all. For whatever reason, his cards just don't ever jive with me, and I'm just not enthusiastic about what he brings to the table. Just not.
Yeah, fair enough. And any players, Josh, that have interested you over the course of Total Rush Team 2 so far?
I think this has been a good promo for very good cards, but some of the bottom level cards, I'm really shocked at their price. Somebody like Ndombele or Rodriguez. Ricardo Rodriguez's card is absolutely mental for 10,750 coins. Like, what is that? And he's got like positional flexibility. You can probably expect that he'll get into an Evo not soon, but at some point, because he's not super quick. Like, you imagine, what was the Evo we got last year that changed a centre back or somebody who wasn't a striker into a striker and gave them loads of pace and loads of shooting? Like, imagine that card with like a +10 in pace and shooting. It's an absolutely wild card. Like, Benrahma looks really nice. So the lower down cards are where I think there's quite a lot of value to be had in this team. I will say I used that 𝘵𝘀𝘀. Oh, he's a really nice player. He is a really, really nice player. He's got Shadow Striker ++, which is like the position that I like to have in my team. He is really, really good. Kind of a big upgrade on Musiala, who I think is the person that kind of takes that position.
Big upgrade
on Musiala.
Does 𝘵𝘀𝘀 have 5-star skills?
No, he's only 4,
well,
but I'm not.
No.
I don't spam broken skill moves. But yeah, so I think it's a decent promo. I mean, any promo where you've got 4 cards in the main team over 1 million coins is a pretty solid promo, but it probably suggests that they're not getting packed an awful lot, especially not in tradable packs. So, yeah. Zaire Emery is one of those where I look at and go, is that really a 400k card? Like, no roll ++, only 5 play stars, like that good play stars, but he looks like an Evo card. If you just hid his stat, he looks like a decent Evo card.
There are those players that just have that hype price, don't they, Nate? Where it's purely down to their reputation that adds, a few 100k onto their price.
Oh, you packed Zaire Emery though, didn't you, Nate? I'm sure I saw you getting very excited about packing Zaire Emery.
I was very excited to pack Zaire Emery, and then Ndombele walked out. That is the best troll I have seen this year. I was
Spurs legend in there. No, I mean that's not bad.
Spurs legend for costing the most.
Anyone in there, Nate, apart from those two that you wanted to mention so far?
Man, I am going to shout out Aspas from the mini release. He has now got his price range updated twice, very small increments, but he's from the mini release extinct at 300k at the moment, which does seem a bit steep. But I used his gold card like week 1 of the game in squad battles and stuff, my first squad of the year. And I was actually very pleased with how he played. And he got +3 overall boost, but +4 and +5 in all of his individual stats. He's got power shot, dead ball, finesse. Sure, he has chip shot plus. 𝗲𝘢𝑝s, there you go. He's got incisive. He's got Trivela, false 9+. I mean, I think he's going to end up being cheaper, but he always surprises me in game. So
yeah, he also got an extra skill move, which I think is crucial.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So he went from 3-star skills to 4-star, which just makes quite a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And probably why he's so much more expensive than his gold sort of ever looked like it was going to be or ended up being. So yeah, a good point. Right.
I will say, just quickly, I'm really proud of us for not talking about Neymar. Like, I'll mention him, but like...
So I'm really impressed about us not talking about him, and now you're going to talk about him.
Well,
exactly.
No. What I mean is, like, it's a Neymar picture with a hat, over 1 million coins, and we're all like, is like Neymar that exciting in 2024? I don't know. I will say, I saw something, I don't know if it's true or accurate, that it was like Neymar's received more promo cards this year than he's played games for Al Nassr or wherever it is.
Yeah, I mean, they did a fancy announcement video when all that had happened is he'd returned to training or something like that.
That's funny.
The reason his picture is him with a cap on is because there's no picture of him on the pitch in the current kit. So that's why his promo picture is like that. To bring it back to something with a little bit more class, that Milik card that you get from completing the rush objectives, which will be unlocked tonight, it looks like an interesting card. I mean, I don't like 66 stamina, but he's got finesse shot, power shot, ping pass, aerial, and trivela. It's like, can you give me the most OP playstyles, please?
Real quick, I looked at that card and I thought to myself, man, if I was running a Serie A team or wanted like to consider Juventus links, like his highest rated face stat is 86. This card is prime for an Evo at some point. Yep. And like then all of a sudden you look at his stats and you go, wait a second, these are going to get Evo'd with the balance across the board of where things are. I'd say for a freebie, that's an interesting card for sure.
Yeah, and then I guess just to wrap things up, the Icon SBC obviously came, max 87. I think I made my case last week that it probably actually maybe was worth doing. Did JoshXLS convince you to do it?
No, it was a hard no. I wasn't aware that you actually made a case to do it.
It was more a case to me, I guess.
I'm kidding. You made a case. I'm giving you a hard time. No, I just looked at all the cards and I was like, nah. Just like a hard, it's like a hard, I don't, I have my very intimidating little team, to come up against, and an Icon would just like ruin the vibes, I feel like. And I didn't want to take that chance. And more so, I mean, I looked at it and I don't know how many of those cards I would be truly excited about.
Yeah. I think I did make the point actually to you that if you don't benefit from the chemistry, which
it doesn't matter to me.
Which I guess you probably don't. It doesn't matter so much at all. And for me, it worked out pretty well actually. I got 𝘱𝗵𝗀𝘀, who is a good option. He's not like the best. He's slightly more valuable than the SBC, but he's going to be very useful for me for chemistry. So I'm kind of pleased with that. How did it go for you, Nate? I'm sure you did it for the content.
I did, and I was able to get a finesse plus Pires. So now my front three is Pires, Son, and Salah. So yeah.
Wow. Nice. How's he been for you?
He has like pretty low shooting stats, but with the finesse plus, just like that overrides it. He has a wide playmaker plus, which has been interesting to try. I usually keep him.
That's a fun one.
I keep him on inside forward, but
you don't like wide playmaker?
I switch between it. I turn it on and turn it off, and
do a wide playmaker with an attacking wingback.
Okay, all right.
If you are playing like a 4-2-3-1, put CDM holding on that side.
Okay, to cover
and with roaming.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Sorry, not to change to the gameplay podcast or anything, but
Yeah, a little preview of what you might get if you tune in. Do become a supporter, of course, to catch that one. And Josh, how'd it go for you?
It is still uncompleted for me.
I suspected you might be too sensible.
Yeah, I'd have to use all of my fodder. It would have to be like maybe even some coins spent on it. I don't know, without a way to grind menus really, and without a kind of like, with that limit of 87, with a limit of how good it can be, the chances of you getting an Ian total rush, it's just not for me. This is one where I feel like I'll hold on to my fodder, I'll feel bad about it for a week or two, and then we'll get a proper SBC, and I'll be like, this is why I held on to my fodder. So yeah, it's uncompleted.
Here's what I will say, because of the dupe storage, I am so chill just holding fodder now. Like I don't feel compelled to like I have dupe 𝘵ci, dupe 𝘍𝑪i, and some other cards like that just sort of chilling, and I'm like, dude, give me when the big one that I'm excited about comes, like I'll be here. And then all the small ones, like I went out and completed Selner obviously right away. I went and did Marmoush for Bundesliga Player of the Month, just because like why not? I thought it would be fun. I haven't really given him much of a run, but he's got nice stats. So I shout out to the dupe storage big time, because all of the low-ish SBCs, I feel like I could just go complete all of them and not really have a consequence about it. And the higher rated SBCs, now I feel like when the big one comes, I'm going to just be like ready to do it when I want to.
And I got to say, like last cycle, completing especially SBCs for players without playstyle pluses. Now, obviously, it's a bit different this cycle because of the max limits and all that kind of stuff going on, but that was pretty beneficial. There are lots of good options for evolutions in the future, further down the line, which, you know, didn't start with a playstyle plus. And I imagine that will continue, where if you have a bank of players without a playstyle plus, there'll probably be quite useful options in evolutions in the future. So it's probably worth completing a few of these, especially if they're, you know, really cheap, like a lot of them are. Right, well, we can say our goodbyes on that note. So yeah, Nate, thank you very much for coming along, filling us in on the market stuff and everything else as well. If people want more of that, they can catch you on YouTube, Twitch, etc. The FUT Accountant. It's been great to have you on.
Thanks, Ben. It's been great to be on, per usual.
Yeah, it has. And thank you very much as well to Josh. Appreciate you joining us for this one.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, Japes has said that he's got a new job that he's leaving for, but I think it's just because he's embarrassed Rashford's still $20,000 after he told me that it was way too expensive back in the very first episode.
I stand by that. I will give you that one. It's because he fits into so many like Evos still. And like you've got all those delusional United fans that think he's going to come good, and just like, they can't help themselves.
I wish I could Evo him in real life.
Yeah. he had a nice pass recently, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, he did. And yeah, Japes, thank you very much for joining us on what will be your last content podcast for a while. It saddens me to say it, but yeah, it's been a pleasure so far this cycle. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I've made it through 6 episodes, but obviously it's been a pleasure being on the pod for, gosh, it feels like probably years now, like a very, very long time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And massive shout out to all of the listeners in the community as well. It's like, I think you guys are what makes the game like fun, relevant, and really rewarding in many ways year after year, beyond all of the, you know, fandom and fun that we have talking about it too. So obviously very much appreciate it, and you know, hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, important to stress it's not a complete goodbye, especially because, of course, there's the supporter gameplay episode this week. We also have the return of Brammers on that episode, who looks like he'll be with us a bit more frequently moving forward, which is nice. So yeah, if you are not yet a supporter, then, you know, do sign up. A great time to do so. There's still that 36,000 𝘵𝘂 point giveaway going on. Just search support FUT Weekly. And there is also a link in the description of this podcast. A huge thank you to all those supporters keeping the podcast going, and a huge thank you to those icon patrons: Dave B, Hugh J, Jeff B, Darren W, Warren A, Stephen M, Waterman, Dan W, Roger D, Rob P, Lee A, Dom P, LM, Damon H, The Shirt Locker, Alex M, Tom B, Jake S, Neil P, Michael K, David G, Andrew R, Michael H, Jimmy K, Brendan T, Berta Saka, Michael B, Brian V, Josh R, Brent P, Rob W, and 𝗵𝘀𝘁. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato FUT for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add though. Ultimate Team is a bit like life really. It has its many ups and downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to 𝘭𝘪𝑧one.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to 𝘭𝘪𝑧one.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.